All right, welcome everybody. Good evening. Thank you for coming for tonight's presentation on World Hijab Day. My name is Ryan Hellenbrand. I am a librarian here at the Glenview Public Library. Tonight, I am joined by Sadaf Zia. Miss Zia has two master's degrees, one in information system management and another in English literature. She is an artist, a substitute teacher in the suburban public schools, and a mother of a 9-year-old. She's also an instructor in Gang Peace Organization, which is part of the Islamic Circle of North America. Gang Peace's mission is to erase misunderstandings, build bridges between people of different faiths, and to work towards a just and cordial society. We are also joined by several other panelists, but they will introduce themselves later on. So with that, please welcome Sadaf Zia.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you, Glenview Public Library, for this opportunity. Good evening, everybody. I cordially welcome all of you in tonight's session. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today with you all, and I'm really thankful and I really appreciate your presence in this meeting tonight. So in this short meeting, we will try to learn about the history and importance of the hijab, the head covering the Muslim women wear, and the achievements of Muslim women in honor of the World Hijab Day, which is on February 1st every year. So what's the agenda for today's session? First of all, we will watch an introductory video about hijab, the head covering again for Muslim women, followed by a short animated video giving out some more knowledge about hijab and the status of Muslim women. After that, my friend Fariha Shakil will share a presentation about hijab and Muslim women. And then we will play a fun interactive game, Kahoot. And in this game, I'm requesting that only our non-Muslim friends can participate, so that we can see how much our audience understand the concept of hijab. So guys, be ready with the device to join in the Kahoot. You would need to go to kahoot.it and enter the pin that I would share later on my screen. So let's see who is going to be our lucky winner to win a $25 Amazon gift card tonight. And I would request my sisters in Islam that let's give a chance to our friends of other faiths here. Thank you so much. Okay, after Kahoot, we will watch a short video showing the testimony of some Muslim sisters. Then a very short demonstration on how to put on a hijab by a young girl. Last, not the least, audience will get an opportunity to ask questions they might have related to hijab and Muslim women. So later on, I will introduce you to our panel of Muslim women from Chicagoland community. Okay, so let's start off our presentation with an introductory video. It's going to be about World Hijab Day. Give me 1 second to share my sound with you. All right, so I hope this video provides an insight into the concept of hijab for you guys. Let's watch it together.
Most beautiful way. February 1st, 2013, marked the first annual World Hijab Day to recognize millions of Muslim women who choose to wear the hijab and live a life of modesty. It's estimated that people in 190 countries take part in World Hijab Day every year, assisted by thousands of volunteers from all walks of life. The event has been endorsed by many world-renowned individuals, including scholars, politicians, and celebrities worldwide. World Hijab Day has been also covered in mainstream news media, including the New York Times, BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, and the Huffington Post. There were many milestones since the inception of World Hijab Day. One of them was the recognition of the day by New York State in 2017. The same year, the House of Commons of the UK hosted an event marking the day, where Prime Minister Theresa May also attended. Thus, the World Hijab Day represents obedience, centered around modesty, reflected in honor, respect and strength of Muslim women. So what exactly is the hijab? Who wears the hijab? Why do they wear it? Are they required to wear it? These are some of the many questions we hope to clarify in this video. When we conducted surveys about the hijab in public arenas, our questions' answers were quite alarming. Most people surveyed thought Muslim women wear the hijab because their husbands force them as a symbol of ownership, or because the hair was a holy part of our body and must be hidden. The primary reason Muslim women wear the hijab is that it is a commandment by our Creator. It is also a form of liberation from strangers who dictate how women should dress in society to be successful. It is to free ourselves from being judged by our physical beauty, but rather our intellect and our character. It is also to preserve our modesty. Contrary to misconceptions, a Muslim woman can wear the hijab of any color, fabric, and style, as long as it covers her hair and body. The concept of modesty in Islam includes, and is not limited to the attire of a person. Modesty in Islam also consists of the modesty of the tongue, eyes, ears, and interactions with non-related members of the opposite gender. Thus, modesty in Islam is a cherished value, not limited to an attire. And these modesty regulations are to be followed by both females and males of society. In Islam, Muslim women have been given several rights that many are not fully aware of. Some of these rights includes the right to initiate divorce, to own property, guaranteed inheritance, to choose whom to marry, the right to receive an education, and much more. A hijab does not prevent Muslim women from achieving their career goals. You can see Muslim women in hijab as doctors, lawyers, police officers, Olympic athletes, teachers, artists, scientists, engineers, and more. Muslim women see the hijab as a crown, liberating them from the shackles of an oppressive view of how women should flaunt their beauty to be accepted by the community around them. Modesty is a vital characteristic of the Islamic faith, and the hijab helps Muslim women exhibit this quality in the most beautiful way. February.
All right, so now that you all know what the World Hijab Day is and what it stands for, I'm going to share with you a short animated video about Muslim women's rights and their achievements. And guys, make sure you watch carefully so that you can answer the questions on the Kahoot. So let me share my... Stop share.
Did you know that a Muslim woman made the world's oldest continuous university? That is true. Here are other amazing facts about Muslim women derived from the Quran and the religion of Islam. Quran doesn't hold women responsible for the fall of humanity. The Quran assigns equal responsibility to the first sin Adam and Eve committed. They both repented to God, and God forgave them. The Quran teaches that men and women are 100% equal in the eyes of Allah, receiving equal rewards for the work assigned to them. Hijab is a dress code of modesty and chastity, donned by Muslim women to show their utmost obedience to God. It is not a sign of oppression, but a sign of freedom, honor, and strength. Women are to be freely judged for their intellect and piety, and not by the shape of their bodies. Islam shows a deep reverence for mothers and motherhood. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Paradise lies beneath your mother's feet." Rights given to Muslim women were unheard of in the 7th century. Some of these include the right, and an obligation to gain an education, the right to vote, the right to initiate a divorce, to keep their maiden name after marriage, guaranteed inheritance, and the right to purchase and own property. Accomplishments, empowered by the above rights, honor, and blessings given by God, Muslim women became a pioneer in building hospitals, pharmacies, and universities. Looking into the guidance, freedoms, and rights provided by Islam to the Muslim women, thousands of women in the West embrace Islam, despite misconceptions propagated in the media. Then, why do we hear so much negative information about women and Islam? The media portrays Muslim countries' cultural practices rather than true, peaceful, and amazing teachings, as reflected in the Quran. We encourage you to obtain first-hand information about Muslim women and Islam. Gain Peace can send you a free Quran in English or Spanish. Please give us a call at 800-662-ISLAM or visit www.gainpeace.
All right. So I hope you got some education about Muslim women's rights and their status in Islam. Now it's time for a presentation by my friend Fariha Shakil about hijab and the Muslim women. So we will get to know about the background and the reasons of Muslim women's choice of wearing hijab. So if you have any questions, you can keep typing in the chat box now or in the Q&A tab, or you can save it for later. And we will do our Q&A session at the end of the session. So here's my friend Fariha. She will introduce herself.
Okay, hello to everybody. Sadaf, are you able to hear me well and look at my slide?
Looks good.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. So, hello to everybody. And even though Sadaf introduced me a little bit, I'll just do it again. My name is Fariha. I'm a mother of 5 kids. I live in Morton Grove, neighbor to Glenview, not far from Glenview. I've done my bachelor's from back home and now studying early childhood education at Oakton College. So I've been living in Morton Grove for past 10 years. But overall in Chicagoland area, I've lived for more than 24 years. So I love Chicago. My heart is here, not just because of its lakefront or beautiful downtown, or because of its famous Giordano's pizza, even though these are the few of the top most attractions for Chicago, but mainly I love Chicago because of its beautiful, diverse community. When we talk about diverse communities, we know that people and in general groups and the communities and societies are so respectful and accepting of each other, right? And it's a blessing, especially while I'm talking, being in the shoes of an American Muslim woman, wearing my hijab, wearing my headscarf when I go out, when I leave my house. I really admire this environment. I really admire this understanding of each other, this acceptance of each other. And yeah, I won't lie that, once in a while, I do face some negative stares here and there, some confused looks, for example. But then it's mostly because people, don't know about it. I still remember when I was here, it was the first year. I think it was 96. Yeah. And when I went to Water Tower, in downtown, and I was at a store buying some jewelry for myself. And then an old lady, out of her, sincerity, she just came to me and she was so mad at me. First, I got scared that why is she mad? But then she was confused and she asked me that why are you even buying the jewelry when you are not going to show it to anybody, your earrings especially, and then I smiled at her and then I explained to her that, I'm not in this attire when I'm at home or when I'm with my family members or with my female friends. And then she calmed down. So whenever I recall that incident, it always puts a smile on my face. So when people do show some negativity or some, confusion while looking at a Muslim woman wearing a hijab, the head covering, at least I have this feeling in my heart that it's not mostly because of the hatred. The main reason is that there is lack of knowledge. And I do believe that, fear of unknown is real. It is true. And on the contrary, I'm pretty sure you all will agree with me that knowledge is definitely empowering, right? And that is the whole purpose of celebrating this World Hijab Day, which is celebrated on February 1st of each year. Um, I cannot thank enough to Glenview Library for letting us use their platform to arrange this informative event. And I'm pretty sure that some of the information you might feel that it's repetitive, it's kind of being repeated, um, but then you will learn a lot of new things as well. I bet you that you'll learn a lot of new things tonight. So what actually hijab is? As you have just heard in the two videos you just saw, hijab is derived from an Arabic word, hajaba, and the meaning of it is to hide or to conceal. The actual word used in the religious scripture, which is called Quran, the word actually used is khimar. It's mentioned in chapter 24, verse 31. And how does a hijab look like? I don't have to even explain it to you, as I'm pretty sure that, while living in Chicago in this big city, I'm sure that you have seen or you have met at least once in your lifetime a Muslim woman wearing hijab. So we are supposed to cover our head, and not just our head and hair, but basically my upper body. The front and back of my upper body should be covered as well. But even more than that, if somebody will ask me that why do you even wear hijab, and then I tell them that it is a symbol of my religious devotion and my modesty. But before we even launch further into the discussion of hijab in particular, there is a background understanding that needs to be established first. So to understand why do we do that, we need to look at some basic concepts of Islam. So these are the 6 pillars of faith in Islam, as you can see in this image of the flower. Belief in God, belief in angels, belief in God's revealed books, belief in the messengers of God, belief in the day of judgment, and belief in predestination. So the whole structure of Islam lies upon these 5 foundational pillars. And when we especially when we talk about belief in God, it entails this concept that because God created us, He knows what is best for us. And so every command of His is based on this perfect knowledge about us. So thus, it is in our best interest to follow His commands, even if our limited minds can't see the wisdom behind them. And hijab is exactly just one of such commands. So as a Muslim, I believe in God, that He is the only creator. He is my sustainer. He's the nourisher. He's my caretaker. And when He has commanded something for me, it is for sure, something for my own benefit and for the benefit of the society. And it also, you can think of an individual's spiritual journey as climbing a ladder, for example, just to give you a metaphor. So each rung represents a command from God. Hijab is one of these rungs. You can just imagine like that. So other rungs could be, our 5 daily prayers. It could be the fasting in the month of Ramadan. I'm pretty sure you all must be aware of it too. And it's just right around the corner. I would say, I think in a couple of just months, or maybe less than 2 months, Ramadan will start. Also, for example, being good to the parents, giving charity, being honest. So just imagine each of the rung are these good deeds. For example, the more commands of God we obey, the more we incorporate His obedience into our daily lives. And then the more we engage in actions that please Him, the higher up we go and the closer we become to Him. Another background topic that's relevant to the discussion of hijab, which also happens to be a popular misconception, is the equality between men and women. So that's a common misconception, but in Islam, there is no inherent superiority in being a man or a woman, that 2 genders are equal in the sight of God in that they are held equally accountable for their deeds, and their good deeds are equally meritable and appreciated by God. And you can look at this verse, chapter 33, verse number 35, as you can read it, that, wherever God has mentioned Muslim men, and then very next to it is mentioned Muslim women as well. And it's not just in this place of Quran, the religious scripture, but it's actually wherever in Quran God has mentioned, some good deeds or some good actions. God has promised for equal reward for both men and women. So usually we say ladies first, but here is men first. As a command to Muslim men is given first in Quran in chapter 24, verse number 30. And the verse here is that, say to the believing men, they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty, that will make for greater purity for them. So often when we talk about modesty, a lot of people think it's only for women alone. So, nothing for, male counterparts, but actually men have also been commanded with modesty, as this verse illustrates. And it just simply tells us that men cannot be checking out women, and they need to be modest and respectful in their behavior and interactions with the women. Here are two of the places in the religious scripture of Quran where God has commanded Muslim women to be modest. So hijab is actually in obedience to God's command. These are the two verses which I will read. I'll just read one of the two. I'll read the one on top, chapter 24, verse 31. And tell the believing women to lower their gaze and protect their private parts, and not to show off their adornment except what must appear thereof, that they should draw their head coverings over their chest. So the specifics of hijab, you have already learned a lot through watching the videos, but I'm just going to go through this slide very quick. That hijab is not just the headscarf which a Muslim woman wear on her head, but it's a little bit more than that. So it is a covering from head to toe, which is kind of, it should be modest. It's not, it includes the head covering actually, but the modest dressing of a Muslim woman includes loose fitted clothes, not, figure hugging tight clothes, wearing opaque clothing. But then hijab has to be worn in front of all men who are not direct blood relatives. For example, if I'm within my family, as I mentioned earlier, if I'm, with my brother, my father, my husband's close family, for example, my son, my nephews, my uncles, I do not have to wear this hijab on my head all the time because they are my blood relatives. But then, for example, when I'm, in a party or in a gathering with, for example, my work colleagues, my male colleagues, from work, or my husband's male friends, then I have to cover myself and put the hijab on. But then when we look at other, customs and other cultures, it's a large variety of modest clothing worn by Muslim women from different parts of the world. So, when you will look at some women wearing a different texture of the cloth, or different color, or different style, it's all the part of, being connected to different cultures in different areas of the world. The concept of hijab also includes the way a woman carries herself. So it's not just about how do I dress myself up. It's not just about if I'm putting, a pretty headscarf on my head, but it is basically the way I carry myself. It's basically the way I behave, with full humbleness, with, strength in character and values, and with full dignity. So that actually makes the whole concept of hijab a wholesome and complete. So the true meaning of hijab is that it's an act of obedience to the Creator, an act of honor and dignity, of belief and faith, of modesty and purity, and of righteousness, an announcement of my identity as a Muslim to the world, a liberation from chains of unrealistic social standards, a protection from uninvited gazes, and to have the focus be on me as an intellectual individual instead of being judged on the basis of my physical body. That is the true meaning of hijab, and that actually, could tell everybody what hijab is all about. So, hijab in other faith, and I'm pretty sure you all must be already aware of it, that the modest covering, this concept of hijab, it has always been a part of other faiths, most of the other faiths as well. And not just a part of the culture or that geographical area of the world, but actually in other faith as well. It's a sign. It was taken as a sign of nearness or obedience to God. So, for example, married Jewish ladies are expected to cover their hair, and we all know that either they put the hat on or a wig or a scarf as a sign of submission to God. And also for the Christian women, um, even till the latter part of the 20th century, that was the norm for the Christian women. And as mentioned in the scripture in the New Testament, that they were and they are supposed to cover their head, at least when they are going to religious places, or for religious act of worship, to the churches, and then it has to be worn by the Christian women as well. So it is not something very unique to Islamic faith or to Muslim women, but it is something which you can commonly find within other faiths as well. And here you go, this slide. You might be surprised to see this, the depiction of Mary, mother of Prophet Jesus. May God's peace and blessings be upon him. So when we talk about our role models, when we talk about who we should look up to, Quran, the religious scripture of Muslims, it guides us and it tells us that some of the women, it clearly has mentioned that should be the role model for Muslim women. And one of them is Mary, who's the mother of Jesus, who dedicated her life for the service of God. And then if you might be surprised to know that her one entire chapter in Quran has been named after her. So in Arabic, it would be called Maryam, which is equal to the name in English, which we call as Mary. The name mentioned on the right side of the slide is of Khadija. Khadija, may Allah's may God's peace and blessings be upon her. She was the wife of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and she was the businesswoman, the famous businesswoman of her time. In Mecca, in Saudi Arabia, and she was known for her noble character. She was known for her wealth and for her good manners. And I mean, these are just some of the, just two of the many role models which we as Muslim women put in front of us when it comes to, live a successful life, live a modest life, and live a humble life. And then when we look at the, within the pages of history, there were many Muslim women pioneers who did amazing work within their field while maintaining their modesty and while maintaining their hijab and their whole attitude as well. So in 859 CE, there was a woman named Fatima al-Fihri who founded she founded a university at her time, but now the Guinness Book of World Record still counts it as the continuous ongoing university. It is the oldest continuous university, is still going on today. And that was founded by a woman, a Muslim woman, Fatima al-Fihri, in 859 CE in Fez, Morocco. So it's a Moroccan university. Isn't it a big accomplishment on her behalf? Also, from many other examples, there is another example which I really admire the most is Maryam al-Astrolabia. Her name was al-Ijliya. Maryam Astrolabia al-Ijliya, and she was the designer of astrolabes in 10th century. Can you imagine that, being a famous scientist who designed and constructed astrolabes? That's something amazing. And then when we look at the modern world, we find so many Muslim women being successful in their fields, being famous in their field while maintaining their identity as a Muslim woman. The picture of the woman on the right of the slide, her name is Nazma Khan, and she is actually the founder of World Hijab Day. She is from New York, and actually she had some, unfortunate incidents in her life due to her hijab, and then she realized that let's have a day dedicated to create some more awareness within our fellow Americans, and she was the one who actually founded it. And then on the left, the list of inspiring Muslim women will not do any good if Ibtihaj Muhammad isn't included in it. You all know Ibtihaj Muhammad. She showed grace and humility on the biggest athletic stage in the world by making history along the way, by becoming the first Muslim American to stand on a podium at the Olympics, winning a bronze. And my daughters adore her. Even though, my kids didn't know about fencing much before she won the bronze, but later on, they all were like, can you enroll us to the fencing classes? We want to be there. So she's a very positive role model for our young girls. And then many other examples around us. Some of these images, you can see Dr. Madiha Saeed. She is a licensed holistic family medical professional. On top, on right corner, top right corner, there's an image of Tahira Rahman. And she's the first hijabi news anchor in US. She's young. She's a young girl, but look at her. I mean, the hijab is not even becoming an obstacle in her way. And then on the left bottom corner is Ilhan Umar, who is the state representative. And these women as well. Carolyn Walker, she was the first Muslim woman elected to serve as a judge in the United States. Ustad Aisha Prime, she is the founder of Sisterhood in Action, and she is also a speaker and empowerer of Muslim youth. And Dalia Mugahid, many of you already know her. She had a position in President Barack Obama's administration back then. So while looking at these stories and these examples of Muslim women who did not made their belief or their Muslim identity or their hijab as an obstacle of their way, rather than they just went across it and they achieved their goals while maintaining their personal belief. And then in conclusion, this beautiful saying on the right, everything precious is covered. A woman modestly dressed is like a pearl in its shell. And in short, hijab is an empowerment and not an oppression. Hijab is to reveal my dignity and not to hide my body. And especially in today's materialistic world, it is helping us to live a simple yet meaningful life where people know me through my intellect and not through my experience. Not through my appearance, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I hope that I was able to tell you something
new which you didn't know before.
And as we all believe in, that knowledge is power, and knowing more is going to make us more respectful of each other. Thank you so much once again.
The true meaning of hijab, an act of honor and dignity, of belief and faith, of modesty, purity, and of righteousness. Thank you so much, Fariha Shakil, for this beautiful presentation, providing us amazing insight into the matter. And actually, I learned some new facts as well. Okay, so now after this, we are going to watch a fun video. So we interviewed some adults and young adult ladies from our Muslim community. We asked them what the meaning of hijab is for them. So let me share their video, what they had to say about it. Oops, let me start over.
My name is Lupita. I am 30 years old, and I think that hijab is very beautiful.
Hijab to me is an honor.
Wearing the hijab, it gives me a sense of unity and belonging where I can't find it else.
I'm Kira, and I started wearing the hijab because who we are on the inside is really what makes the difference.
I am the mother of Kira. When she first came to me and told me that she wanted to wear her hijab, I was proud of her.
And I use it as something to recognize myself as who I am, a believer, a woman protecting her modesty.
Now that I wear the hijab, I think it has boosted my self-esteem, my confidence so much more.
I regard that as a privilege. It identifies me as a Muslim, and that's important to me.
My hijab has empowered me and made me a more confident person.
I've seen like so many people always be so self-conscious about their hair, about their face, or how they looked, and I decided that I wanted to run away from that.
It's a personal choice, and it's how you feel. Me personally, I'm proud to wear my hijab. It really, truly is, like I said, it's just a part of me now.
It was her own personal choice. There was no pressure for her to have to choose that. But for her, that's what made her feel confident and ready to take on the world. And I can't argue with that.
All right, so these were their personal viewpoints about the hijab. And now I'm going to share a short video of a young girl. She is demonstrating how to put on the hijab. Let me share. Okay, so Maria Ali is 12 and she is a student of Wilmette Junior High School. Let's see how she wears the hijab. That was beautiful. Good job, Maria. All right, friends. So to close off today's event, here is the time for question and answer session. I hope you would have written your questions in the Q&A tab or chat box, or if not, then you can write it now. And this is my humble request that your questions should be related to today's topic only. Now I would introduce our prestigious panelists to our audience. First of all, we are honored to have Saima Shah on our panel. Saima Shah lives in Chicago with her family. She is a teacher by profession. She has been serving various roles at ICNA and at her local mosque. She is also a part of her school district diversity committee. Saima is also part of an international organization called the Human Library, where she dispels myths about Islam. I still have to learn about this concept of human library, very unique concept, in fact. Welcome, Saima, and thank you so much for joining tonight, actually.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sure. Okay, our second respected panelist is Jamila Yusuf. Jamila Yusuf is a long-time member of ICNA, a revered Muslim, a revert to Islam from Catholicism 25 years ago. She is originally from the Philippines and currently she lives in Chicago suburbs. She is a stay-at-home mom of 5 children. My hearty welcome, Jamila. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you, Sadaf. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. All right. So I think I would request Mr. Ryan to read off the questions one by one so that our panelists can address them?
Sure. Before I do that real quick, I'm just going to open up a quick little poll, just letting us know how many are watching today with you. So there's multiple people in your household who are watching. Just to answer how many are they with you. It just helps with our attendance count. I wish I'd done it earlier, but I forgot. But better late than never.
Right.
So I have a hand up, but I have not seen the Q&A come through for it. So if you don't mind, I can turn their mic on if you prefer to ask that verbally. I'm not sure if your question, or I would prefer if we would all type in our questions to the Q&A or into the chat. That would be the preferable method. But if you are not comfortable with that, let me know in the chat, and I can turn your mic on later, perhaps. We actually have not gotten any questions or Q&A yet. I'll go ahead and start it off, but please type in your questions now, and I'll go ahead and read them off. My question, I'm just kind of wondering, is it just certain cultures, is there a reason they put a full mask on, like a face covering? Is that because all the examples you showed tonight, none of them were, I saw one picture with face coverings. Is that just a separate thing entirely?
Jamila, go ahead.
All right. Good question, Ryan. Thanks for asking. Actually, in reality, right now, as the situation of the whole world has changed because of COVID, pretty much everybody's wearing a mask or a face covering for that matter, right? It turns into that kind of a look that you're asking. So for um, the specific name for that face covering, face veil, you said the technical Arabic term for that is called niqab, right? So it is not a main requirement for Muslim women to wear that. It is an additional preference that some Muslim women choose to wear if if they're comfortable with it, right? The main commandment is basically to cover the hair, the neck, the bosom part, and then wear loose-fitted clothing. But the way it's coming about, as you must have seen some other women are, wearing the face veil as well, is that because the wives of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, were wearing the face veils. And it's just more of a level of an increased piety or higher devotion to God. As you have seen in one of the slides that Fariha had shown, she showed a picture of a ladder that shows like an elevation of your faith or your obedience to God. It's like every rung of the ladder, you come closer to God. So it's viewed by the Muslim women who wear the niqab as something just like that. They wanted to just please God in a better way by taking the extra step of covering. And it's not easy, especially in the summertime when it becomes hot and things of like weather-wise and whatnot. But it comes handy now because everybody wears the face mask or whatever face. So some people actually don't even wear the mask; they just keep their niqabs on because they're already covering their faces, right? So yeah, that is my explanation on that one. But so people who wear it, they just basically in a sense more closer, I guess. I mean, being more rewarded in a sense, or closer to God as they, decide to please Him more. But those who choose not to wear the niqab are not being, looked down upon by God. We're not being punished or taken, points off from our, good and bad point system. So it's nothing like that. It's just a matter of personal preference to go a little bit above and beyond. So I hope I answered the question. And if Sam, if you want to add something, you can go ahead.
Right, Jamila, no, you said most of it. And then majority scholars say that the niqab is an option, but there are some scholars that'll say that it is an added bonus for women who choose to do that. And again, it's a personal choice, and so yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We had a question that came in. They ask, are the hijab wearing rules the same for Sunnis and Shias?
So I will take that. This is Saima. So Sunni and Shia, they both follow the same Quran, the same holy book, and so the verses in the Quran are the same for both. And so yes, they're the same rules for both Sunni and Shia. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. So that's all I have for questions. I have one more, so I'm going to ask another one, but if you have a question, now is the time to submit that. So again, Q&A, chat, either way, and I'll go ahead and read it off. I do have another question. So it's not a requirement to be Muslim in order to wear a hijab, right? I mean, it's anybody can wear one, but you're not required to, or it's not a slight if you're not Muslim as in addition to wearing a hijab, is it?
Say that again. Can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, just wondering if it's a requirement to be Muslim in order to wear a hijab, or if there's any negative consequences to not being full Muslim. You're just wearing hijab for the sake of wearing hijab because that makes you feel good. Do you need to also be Muslim?
Can I answer that, Saima? And then
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice question, Ryan, and thank you for asking that. No, it is not a requirement. I mean, we have some actually women who are just learning about Islam or just wanting to just understand the meaning of Islam, and because of that interest, some of them even just start wearing hijab just out of curiosity and how to feel, if they're really looking into moving forward or changing their faith. And as the slide showed as well with Faria's presentation, it's not only required for Muslim women to wear hijab. There are Christians who are also wearing similar garment. For example, she mentioned the married Jewish women, and then the Christian and Catholic nuns, they wear the veil. So in a sense, it looks like a hijab. It satisfies the requirements of a hijab, but they're not necessarily Muslims, right? So to answer the question really is no, because other women of faith are wearing a head covering. And then at the same time, to answer the question also, that people or women who are interested in looking into Islam, sometimes they even wear the hijab. And even when there was no pandemic, when we were doing this World Hijab Day in the libraries, public places, even in universities, those who have done it in universities, they do give out free hijabs to the public, whoever wants to, and then they wear the hijab for the day, for half of a day, just to sort of experience it. And then there was also a phenomenon that kind of happened about 2-3 years ago. There was like a Punish a Muslim Woman Day kind of thing. That was from some you know haters, I guess, for lack of a better word, or anti-Muslims or whatnot, who had started this propaganda of hey, I'll punish a Muslim woman day. So in solidarity to the Muslim women, some non-Muslim women even, decided to don the hijab for one day in search in. And there's actually one professor, I'm forgetting her name, from the Wheaton College. Wheaton College is a very strongly Christian university, and she's like a professor there who, in support of this Punish a Muslim Day, she wore a hijab in class, and then even she posted it in her social media. But because of that action, she got fired from her job, and so she took it to the level of suing the school for that, because she was trying to show solidarity to the Muslims, and then she got sort of like punished for that, because they're thinking that, oh, has she become a Muslim, and why is she teaching in our university? So yeah, basically, you don't have to be a Muslim woman to wear hijab, even for at least one day, to experience it if you want to. Yes, I hope I answered your question, Ryan.
You did, thank you. We have another question that came in kind of as far as etiquette for wearing hijab. They ask, is it suggested to wear an underscarf so that your hijab or dupatta will stay in place besides or in addition to the pin?
So yeah, Rufflin, I don't know how if I'm pronouncing your name properly. I'm really sorry if I'm not, but I've gone back and forth. So some scarves are really slippery, and so it's a good idea to have an underscarf, like a under kind of handkerchief kind of, and that keeps your hair in place. And then sometimes the scarf itself is thick enough or sturdy enough where it doesn't slip and your hair do not pop out and bother you on your face all the time. So it's a personal preference, and I've gone back and forth. And so whatever you're comfortable with, and there's no rule for it or against it, absolutely. But as I said, depends on the texture of the scarf. Hope that answers the question. Whatever you're comfortable with.
All right, thank you for answering that. I don't have any other questions right now, so I don't know if you have any final comments or maybe even more suggestions for how to wear your hijab. Up to you, but we're out of questions.
Yes, Ryan, I wanted to just add that so there was an underscarf or underpiece or handkerchief that Simon mentioned. Like for me personally, I used to wear the headbands. Like, like some people when they're like jogging or when they're like doing some, like you can find the headbands under the um for in the stores like Walgreens, Walmart, and stuff like that. So it's a smaller piece of fabric that just goes around your head. So it does the same purpose to hold your scarf from falling back. And then sometimes we put the pins along with that too. But nowadays, because of the mask, wearing, it has become. I mean, I don't wear the pins anymore because it's easier to just put on the mask face and then wrap a hijab or whatnot. And so there's different ways of doing that. And if there's any more other question, I just wanted to share to the audience as well our website, which we're all part of. It's called gainpeace.com. That's there's more information there to the public. It's an outreach, service of the Islamic Circle of North America that we provide for the public, locally and also nationally. So there's a lot of information that to be found over there, and a lot of materials, some free materials that you can request for further information of expanding your knowledge or just out of curiosity. And there's also like probably recordings of some programs there if you want to just kind of like catch up on other things that are being discussed by Gain Peace. So it's Gain Peace, GAIN, no space, the word peace, PEACE.com. So gainpeace.com, you can check out. And there's also the whyislam.org. So Y as in WHY, Islam.org.
There was a follow-up question that came in. How about abaya? You need to explain to me what that is again. How about abaya? Is it a must for Muslim women to wear it when they go out?
Simon, you can answer that if you want.
Yes, sure. So the abaya is the outer covering, another extra layer over the clothes that you're wearing inside the house, which could be a little tight or showing the body because you're a figure, because you're in the house, you're in the comfort of your house within your family. So Muslim women are recommended that they wear an extra layer, which is known as the abaya. It's just a covering over the regular clothes. And so again, that is something that Muslim women, again, should, for extra modesty, do that. And it's culturally different in different areas. And so some can be a long dress from top to bottom. Some can be a huge, like a shawl, a big shawl that kind of drapes around your body. And so, yes, you can, so yes, something more extra to give you a layer over your regular clothes that you're wearing inside the house when you're going out for extra modesty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you
All
very much.
right. Seems like we don't have any more questions. Okay, so with that, we conclude today's event. I think it was a very educational and we got a lot of insight into the matter. And we are really glad that all of you were able to make it tonight. And I hope this meeting reached at its goal of attaining a better understanding about hijab and Muslim women as we are getting close to celebrate the World Hijab Day, which is going to be on February 1st. So we request and hope that our friends of other faiths, female friends, they would like to try out wearing hijab for one day or for part of a day on February 1st this year as a solidarity with their fellow Muslim ladies. And I'm thankful and really appreciate your presence in our session tonight. And we hope and pray for a better understanding and a peaceful society. And I really thank Ryan and Glenview Public Library. And thank you all for coming here. And this is how we end our session. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. I'm also very appreciative to you all. Sadaf, Fariha, Jamila, Saima, thank you so much for coming out and sharing your knowledge. I definitely learned a lot myself. I mean, it's important for us all to learn more about each other's and our own personal cultures. So I thank you so much for coming out. And I thank all of our guests for coming out today too, our patrons. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's program as well. So please have a good rest of your evening and take care.
Thank you so much. Bye.